All right. Hey, we're live. We're back. So it's now time for Q&A with Alan and Marshall. I'm Marshall Atkinson with Atkinson Consulting, and this is.
I'm Alan Howe with Easiway Systems.
And today we're back on Facebook to answer all of your questions, and hopefully you have some.
Yeah.
And have some comments and join in on the fun. That's why we're doing this. And we want to be a resource for you and help. And it's really kind of crazy time right now for everyone, and it's super confusing. I think, Alan, wouldn't you agree with this? It kind of feels like it's foggy out, right? And we can only see a certain distance, and we know that there's stuff at the end of the street, but we can't see it.
I agree. This time is so weird. We've never been through this in my lifetime. I know there's light at the end of the tunnel. I know this will end. We just can't put a finger on it of when. We can go by indicators of what's happening. And, that's all we can do. But it's a strange time. It's not even, like the recession is the only thing I can go by historically of coming out of it and in it of what to do. And it's not the same.
Right.
So it's weird. And I know we talked last week a little bit, you and I, we've just spent some time talking about stuff. We have to come on, flip the switch, come on, talk to everybody. And we have the happy face, man. Let's be positive. Let's stay together. Let's do this. Right. Where at the end we click off, you and I are talking going, oh my gosh, can I make the house payment?
My happy face right now is fueled by coffee. At least that's what I'm going to tell you is in here.
I have just coffee on the Gorilla Joe's tumbler again, but yeah. So it is. It's a weird time for everybody, but I think there's going to be some cool things happening. So.
Yeah. So anyway, we have some people watching. Charles, Heather, how are you guys doing?
Hey, Heather. I was just talking about you with Marshall before we came on live.
Yeah, right. So we would love it if you're watching to please post and say hello, but also tell us where you are, what's going on. Are you working in your shop, secretly, wink, wink, right? Are you open, right? All right, what's going on? And then what we really want is your questions, right? So what are you struggling with? Where are you stubbing your toe? That type of stuff. And then we're here to help, right? So that's kind of what's going on. So so we've got Charles says good morning. Heather says good morning. Kisa, hey, good morning.
Yep. Yeah. Other people watching, they're not posting. I can see Lon Winters is watching, Richard Greaves. So some industry people.
Mm-hmm. So they might have questions too.
Lon and Richard, I'm going to use you
those guys, right?
Yeah. So
I don't know what we can help them with, but we'd love to do it.
At least act like we are.
That's right. That's right. Or maybe what they could do is they could pose questions that they're hearing from their clients, and then maybe we could give our take on whatever's going on with them too.
For everybody, and that's pretty much what we do. I'd love to hear what everybody else's questions. What are you hearing? If you're a supplier, consultant in the industry, what are you hearing? And I'd love to see what everybody's saying. We by far, Marshall, we don't have the bottom line on anything.
All right, first question. You ready? Ruben says, thanks for doing this. You're welcome. It's our pleasure. Quick question. Has anyone out there tried S-Mesh for manual printing? So, Alan, you're the screen expert. What's the scoop on that?
Yeah, S-Mesh is a great product. There's a couple things on it that I want to say. Ruben, great. First of all, I'm glad that everybody's looking at their processes right now on what they can do. S-Mesh is basically just a thinner thread mesh. S-Mesh is the marketing term for a Murakami product, but it's a way that thread diameters used to be measured. There was T thread that was standard, S thread was thinner, and then they had HD. But S thread, it gives you the same count per inch, 110, 158, but with a larger open area, percentage of open area. For manual printing, it's incredible, just like automatic printing. It can be used. There's nothing different about it in the broad brush of it, except that it's a larger mesh opening. It is a thinner product and a little bit more fragile. My personal view is, Ruben, sometimes you have to watch your tensions with any mesh, because if people are manually printing, if I'm in your shop and you ask me about S threads, I'm going to look and see what is your tension on your current screens, because sometimes S mesh can be a band-aid for just a poor process. So if you're having trouble with your whites flowing, you're getting a good underbase, that could be all tension. If you have poor tension on your screens, even if you have S mesh, it might just be a band-aid to a bigger problem. So check that out first. But S mesh is a great one. Now, if you're doing water-based discharge, S mesh is incredible because it has an open area. It helps the ink flow better, not dry in the screen as much. And also, because it's thinner in fabric thickness, you're going to have a thinner amount of emulsion on there. You still want an EOM of, between 10 and 20% thickness, but then the walls of your dot in your open area there are thinner, and so the ink doesn't start building up on the sides of it either.
So, Alan, you were just talking about tension. So I don't know what Ruben knows about tension, or if he even has a tension meter. So let's just briefly go over what tension range should be looking at for some different basic mesh counts, and then also maybe how to accurately measure tension on a screen, because I know people do it wrong all the time.
Yeah, well, most people go by to, I've had this screen forever, I bought it from a supplier, so the tension must be good. You can't go on that. Tension is calculated by one way, and that is with what's called a tension meter. Yeah, on your hand, it feels okay, but I don't always calibrate my fingers every morning, so I could be off. So you really can't tell. You want to assume that the people you're buying screens from know what the tension is. That's not always true. So you have to take control, and now is a great time to do that, of what is your tension on there. Whoever you buy mesh from, S threads, whether it's Murakami, Sadi, whoever, they will have recommended tensionings if you're stretching yourself or in a roller frame or a track frame of what they should be. Some people, you can actually bring, the key is not how high tension should be, but you want consistent tension all the way through. When it comes to tensions, it could be all over the board. I am one of those guys that I don't care if you're buying a stretched aluminum from a supplier or a stretched wood from a supplier or a roller frame or a track frame. If your tensions are if you're buying them and they're under 20 newtons, there is no place in this world for that now. Everything should be over 20 newtons. I used to say 17. Yes, you can do that for one color. But I was speaking at a conference, the Max Profit conference, and I talked about that. If I had to pull a bottom line of what my tap out rate before I restretched or had a screen restretch would be, I always said about 17 newtons. And there's nothing wrong with that. If your screens are all at 17 consistently, fine. That's better than them being all over the place. You need to, at 20, Mr. Coudray told me that at 20 newtons, anything under 20 newtons, when you do a capital A, the little crossbar in the middle of it, I think on a 6-point type it was, I'll have to look at my notes. You cannot hit that little crossbar in a capital A in one stroke. And that doesn't sound like a lot until you realize how many times you're stroking each color.
Right.
Out. And now we're back to time and profit.
Right.
So it could be, I'm going to say, if I have to say without knowing the mesh counts, minimum 20. Go check with your manufacturers because they have minimum tensions they go to first. There are different methods. If you're using roller frames, I know Mr. Winters is on here, and I see, Lon, I see your question. We refuse to answer that. I don't know if you see that.
Sky blue is because everybody has PMS 304 on the shelf.
Yeah, exactly. But Lon, is a great one from Graphic Elephants. Thank you, Lon, for coming on. I do a seminar where Lon has actually showed him and a couple other places of what their tension's on, and Lon keeps all his screens, whether they're S-thread or regular standard threads, at a certain Newton range, every single one of them, no matter what mesh count, to show it's all about consistency.
Yeah, well, Kudre talks about CPR all the time: consistent, predictable, repeatable, right? And by understanding that and aligning and having standards, right, you can create better practices in your shop, and where the target is. It's so much easier to find out if things aren't going right for you. What's the problem and how to diagnose it. So,
yeah,
move on.
Hey, look down. Ruben has another question to the S-Mesh. He's given a little more information. So okay. I just saw that if you pull it up.
Oh, okay.
So
have the tension meter. Probably wants to suggest for Hydro S-Mesh for Magnet inks. We've been using water-based for the past couple of days, and it's not as opaque, and 156 mesh, 25 newtons. Well, that's a good Newton range.
It's a great Newton range. Hydro mesh, and actually it's HIDRO, is a Sadi thin thread mesh. So there might be some other things. First of all, for Magnet inks and water-based, compared to what? Compared to your regular mesh, that's interesting. This is going to get down to probably a pressure. How much are you driving in? Because with water-based ink, and especially HSH, you still want pressure, but you don't want to drive them all the way through. And with plastisol too, all the way through, you're going to have a larger percentage of open area, but you're going to have less ink going down. So I'm going to say watch your pressures on that.
Yeah, it's sharpness.
Yeah,
right? That all affects how it prints.
Yeah, absolutely. So you still want. I listened to John and Ray Smith a couple days ago on a water-based video blog they were doing. Right. And we listen to these things. I call it continuing education. Mm-hmm. And they still recommend make sure you're coding correctly, a 15 to 20% EOM, especially on an HSA ink. So hopefully that'll happen. But I would say reach out. I don't think it's more of a mesh problem. I think there's probably another problem causing that for opacity, especially if it's in HSA.
Right. So one thing that I've done when I'm trying to figure out what is going on is only change one variable at a time. If you change Correct. 2 or 3 things, what worked? So just change one thing and see, change your off contact or change the squeegee durometer or your angle or whatever in print, and does it better or worse? And then make decisions based on that and take notes. Right? Write stuff down. Document what you're going to do. That's how you can sneak up on the answer.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say, especially with water-based as you're getting into it. Make notes, document what you're doing, what the results are, not just in your print process, but on that fabric, because one fabric will be different than another one.
That's true.
So, yeah, make sure that. Great question, Ruben. Thank you so much.
So let's get to Kisa. So they're printing banners for graduates and signs in restaurants. Just got an order for a gym who went to virtual classes and is giving away shirts. That is awesome. Awesome. To see that. Congratulations. I work with her and she does a lot of stuff with, little leagues and that kind of stuff. So she's expanding her range a little bit. And for anybody that's pivoting right now and trying to get new customers, one of the things that we want to think about is our sales process. Okay. So she's doing new things. She's reaching out. What is she doing? She's doing the first couple of orders. So what are we doing as we create the order? We ship the order, we thank them, we follow up. There's got to be a process all along that about what's that cycle look like for for every customer. So build that process out so it isn't just like luck that you get stuff and
Absolutely.
you remember to do something later, right? Are you sending out a handwritten thank you card, right? There's different things that you can do. It doesn't really have to cost a whole lot of money, but you can be creative with it, right? So really kind of think about that. So good job with that.
Absolutely.
Keith says, good morning.
Good morning, Keith.
And Heather wants to know that her mom's watching. So, hey,
Heather, just so everybody knows, Heather is a very good friend of mine, and Marshall's also. Heather has a business in Cave City, Kentucky, with her family. Her their own, so it's mom, I know them all. And in charge of the screen room is her father, who I just affectionately call the dad. Not dad, the dad. So that's the little inside. So Heather, tell everybody I said hi, and it was good speaking to you yesterday.
All right, so Peter with M&R has a two-part question here. So a lot of retailers are stuck with spring 2020 inventory of printed garments they won't be able to sell this year when the economy restarts. For many, their choice is to close it out on special or hold to next year. How do you think this condition will impact garment screen printing and will accelerate the transition to print-on-demand digital DTG printing? I think it definitely will impact things. And I think people are going to be looking as to what did they do before and how can we decrease the inventory we're holding. A lot of people are already doing that. I mean, think about things, Alan. 10 years ago, it wasn't uncommon to print and ship 20,000 shirts to some distribution center, right? Now it's more common to print 100 shirts for 200 different locations and you're drop shipping them all because there is no distribution center anymore.
Right.
And so as things are moving online with online stores, it's real easy for people to do digital or to be printing digital or to be thinking about how to do print on demand. And I think a lot of things are going to be shifting to digital because of this, especially in the retail sector. And as digital technology improves, there's some things you can, it really depends on the make and model, the ink and everything. You can tell it was digital, but a lot of stuff, it's you can't, right? Or it's really close to screen printing. It just really depends on the shirt color and the colors of the ink and all that. But it's a very fascinating time right now. And I think people are having a more online shift with what they're doing because I don't know about you, but I'm not going to the mall, right? I mean, people are ordering online and that's more the norm. And so how are people going to adjust to that? And I think digital makes more sense than anything, especially when we get closer to an unit of one as the order.
I think the smaller items, and as we said earlier, the only thing I have to look back is history that we can learn from. Right. I don't know what the future holds. And I remember coming out of the recessions, what we saw was a smaller, as people were ordering, it was a smaller quantity because we know right now in our businesses and in our personal life, cash is king. We're all hoarding cash. Hoarding cash is a relative term. It might be the change in my wallet that's still being hoarded because it's all part of it. And for me, it is change in my wallet.
You've got money in your wallet?
I have a Eagle snack can that gets thrown into, but yeah, that is now like a bank account. But so cash is still going to be king. And as things start opening up, and I'm glad that there's some talk about it. We don't know when, even in small minds, there's some things that are going to start opening up. People are still going to order, but they're going to be very much, do I want to hold on cash? So in the screen side of it, a garment, an order that was 1,000 garments is only going to be 500 now. They'll pay a little bit higher price, hold on to cash, wait till they're down to number 499, and then order the other 500.
Right.
Per day. And I think also now because of DTG, hybrid printing and stuff like that, the unit of one is going to be huge. and there is going to be big market for that. So on spring garments, I think those will still be sold. I think some of those will still come, but with DTG, I think it also makes those where they don't have to be closed out. They become a unit of one stock to get rid of, and at least they can be profitable.
Yeah, and let's not dismiss the whole idea of hybrid DTG printing. And I think what's really interesting here is the concept of variable data, right?
Yeah.
So an easy discussion that you can have for this is, let's just say that you have a website and you're doing, I don't know, stuff for parents of military service members, right? You could do a shirt with 2 dog tags on it, right? And each dog tag has that person's, service information, their name or whatever. And you could say, hey, proud dad or proud mom or whatever, right? And then that's a shirt that's custom to them. And you're running these at speed,
yep.
Right? So you're not just setting up one design, you're running these at, 300 or 400 an hour or whatever, and you're charging personalized, customized pricing, which is a higher value than just a normal shirt because it's got somebody's name on it.
Yeah.
And so this is where technology and online and a creativity, I think, will all merge into something really unique and spectacular. And it's going to be just a really cool time, I think, for that. And so I'm really interested to see where this goes. So.
Yeah, absolutely. I think as schools are closing and some kids aren't, they're on graduation, I think there's a perfect market, especially in that hybrid where you have a 2020 class design, but then you can, I think Marshall, I saw you laugh. You saw the same post I did. Yeah, right there.
Peter is such a ass. That's what we love.
It is. He just puts the stuff to watch a smirk on video. I think a 2020 shirt with the school on there, and then you can name drop and personalize it for everybody.
Yeah, right. So really, that's a great idea. So you could do the high school senior coronavirus survivor with the person's name on it, right? And that's worked into the design, and then every single shirt is different.
Yeah, I graduated the year 2020 from such and such high school and from coronavirus plague.
Yeah, so your class picture.
Yep.
Absolutely. Whatever, right? There's tons of opportunity for that. So people who can think outside of the box and invent it and then build the platform to sell it, right? Yeah. And there's tons of online tools for that as well. So great question.
Check, I think we missed a question from Charles Duros up there, and I think it's a great one.
How do we do that?
I don't know.
That's a big one.
It is, but it's a great one.
There's a big trend of masks right now. There are many companies shifting toward production of masks, as well as companies like Action Injury and creating specialized pallets for printing. Do you think this trend will continue from now on? Do you think this is a right now type of thing? What are your thoughts on printing masks as a sustainable business product and making an investment in pallets, blah, 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 blah? Great question, Charles. I'll tell you what, I've been talking. I bet I have 6 calls a day on this right now.
I just talked to Marcia Derryberry from Impressions like 2 hours ago about the same issue. Question.
Do you want to go first, or do you want to hear what I have to say?
Go ahead.
So here's what I've been saying to folks is you need absolute clarity to figure out if this makes sense for your business.
Absolutely.
Right? What I mean by that is you have to make it simple. You have to make it profitable, right? And you need to understand where you need to be with it. So there's a couple things that you should think about. For one, for the next, it seems to me, probably 2 years, people will not be able to go to the grocery store, a rock concert, a football game, if we ever have those again, right? Any of this stuff without wearing a mask. So right now, there's basic masks that people are going to have, which are just plain, right? But you know what? We're people, and plain is boring. So we're going to want to have our football team on there, or a high school thing, or some funny saying, or a goofy face, or whatever, or a branded logo. Your companies are going to want to give these out to their customers, which is what we do. We do branded stuff, right? They also want to reward people. You can also sell these. You can be a supplier to consumers direct, or you can go to wholesale. I mean, there's a lot of opportunity for this. So what you have to decide is, what lane are you going to pick? And what I've been telling people is, it's also 100% correct to say, this is not for me, right? I don't want to get into this.
Right.
I don't want to do that. I want to be doing, it doesn't fit for what I do. I don't want to do it. It's okay, right? If you do want to do this, what I recommend is finding a mask that aligns with what your customers want, right? Yeah. Is it super high end? Is it more the middle? Is it dirt cheap? Where are you on that? And then I would source, I don't know, 1 or 2, maybe 6 different types of masks from different apparel suppliers, because right now everybody's out, or they just made a bunch and then tomorrow they're out again. I mean, the inventory is crazy right now because everybody wants them. So I would find the one that you like, that you feel comfortable in selling or donating or giving away or whatever you're going to be doing with it, that you're comfortable with it. And then if you can, get some samples, right? And we've all seen Facebook posts from people who've gotten samples. They've gotten those masks in that they ordered and they hate them, or their customer hates them. You don't want to be that guy, right? You want to understand where you fit in. And then if you are going to decorate it, here's what I've seen. I've seen dye sublimation, especially with those neck gaiter things, right? That's going to be popular. I've seen screen printing. I've seen heat transfer. I've seen embroidery. Embroidery looks really nice, especially if you do like a woven, like hem tag thing, like you might put on the sleeve. Mm-hmm. You stitch it right up here at the thing with a branded little thing. It looks super classy. Where are you in that spectrum? I don't know. You might have to kind of decide what you're going to do. Yeah. Before you roll this out to customers, I would be thinking really hard. I would do some time studies. I would be thinking about pricing. I would be thinking about perception, right? You're selling something at a high price. Does your customer think, well, now you're price gouging? You're going to be that guy, right? There's a lot of landmines here. And I think the thing to do is just to get a legal pad out and start writing your thoughts down and doing some research and talking to people and making sure this fits with your business model and where you want to be. Absolutely. Do I think it's going to have legs? Yes. It's here to stay, right? And that doesn't mean it's for you, though. Like a lot of screen printers don't do embroidery, right? Mm-hmm. You have to decide where you are with this, right? So hopefully that answers your question.
And here's the other deal on the market. Here's why I think it's here to stay. When I travel internationally, and as much as I'm used to be in airports all the time until recently, I always saw, and it seemed like people from Asia, whether I was in Asia or at the airport, had a mask on, no matter what was going on. And I always thought, wow, germaphobes. But we're in a whole different world now. It might not be COVID-19, but there's influenza A, B, whatever, pneumonia. We've all been stricken with that. And it's not just, I had pneumonia, they gave me an antibiotic, I was up and gone a week. A lot of you know that I got it a couple of years ago, and it just about took me out permanently. I never want to go through that again.
Right.
And I think now the world is smaller, this is global, and you're going to see masks. I'll probably carry one first time on an airport and an airplane because they're flying Petri dishes.
Oh, yeah.
And you know what? I think we have just going, the people in Asia pretty much had something that we didn't know or hear as they traveled.
Yeah.
Because 1, I don't want to catch anything. 2, I don't want to give anything away.
I know that's so true. I used to joke because, I never get sick. I mean, my immune system is a rock star. I used to joke that I lick the escalator at the airport. I don't have a problem, right? But my wife, she was a preemie baby, and she gets sick easy, right? And so for me, it's less about me and more about protecting her and my family, and that's how I think about it right now.
Right.
So
go ahead.
I was just going to say, I was going to read this comment from Keith.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you have a comment?
No, I think that was great. I was just going to comment on that too. I love neck gaiters. I've used them for fishing for years. So.
Right. Yeah. So we have the cut and sew sublimation. So the gaiter style has done well for us, looking at others, but agree has to fit our model. Not sure, working on it. And I think it's really important here that you can try stuff out, right? Order some in, do some things. But here's what I caution you about is before you agree to a delivery date, right?
Yeah.
Make sure you can get the inventory. And I would tell people, hey, things are crazy right now. Maybe in a couple months we'll have inventory we can get like normal, but right now things are weird. Make sure people understand that. Be very clear about things with your customer. And the other thing, just to make sure, and I talk about this a lot, I'm going to restate it. If there ever was a time to get 100% of the money up front for orders, it's now, right? Absolutely. So if you've been struggling with this over the years because you don't think your customers will go for it, okay, blame it on the bad guy in the room, which is coronavirus. You're a small business and you need to survive, so we're doing 100% upfront right now, even if you have to ship, right? So do yourself a favor, and wherever you live, find a zip code the furthest away from you, right? And that box of shirts that weighs 34 pounds or whatever, ship it ground, bring it up. What does it cost? It's going to cost you 50 cents or 65 cents or whatever a shirt, whatever your rate is, depending on what you do, right? Add 10 or 15 cents to that, and then use that, put it in your price, and just call it free shipping and get all the money up front.
Yeah.
And right now, I wrote about this for my blog article that's coming out tomorrow. I've been talking with an average of 10, maybe 12 different people a day for the last month, right? I talked to hundreds of people. And people right now who've never gotten their money up front are doing it, and it's the easiest thing they've ever done to make the switch because they absolutely have to have this money now to survive. And that's the reason they did it. And what they're telling me is everybody just gives them the money not even questioning it. So that's something you should be doing.
Marshall, and I agree. The one thing right now, somebody is out there listening. I know it. And if this is you and you're typing it, delete it because I don't want to see it. We hear all the time, yeah, but you just don't know my customer and my market. Irrelevant. Nobody is different. I don't care if it's, the Bronx, New York, or, some little town in West Virginia to California to Texas to Florida to Iowa. Yeah, this is 2020. I buy things on Amazon. I go to the grocery store. I'm paying up front. Everybody does it. This is not.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And if the customer refuses to, then yeah.
Right.
Oh.
So let's post some stuff here. One is Richard Greaves. Hey, he's here.
Hey, Richard.
Right. Another Michigander, right? Is that how you say it? Michigander?
Yep.
Ken Mills in the house. What's up?
I didn't see him, but Peter says he's in. I haven't seen him on, but all right, cool.
Yeah, Daryl Garcia's here.
All right, Daryl.
Hey, trivia thing here. We share the same birthday.
All right. What day is that, Marshall and Daryl?
13th. Peter said, I'm going to write a question so long it blocks both of you badasses out of view. Okay.
I blocked Peter, so don't worry about it. So.
Right. All right. So Kitson's in the house. Hey, Greg, we keep missing each other. I've been calling you. Let's hook up. Dennis says the culture is going to change forever now. Masks are here to stay. Perception has changed. Wearing a mask today isn't a sign a person is a germaphobe, but rather a sign of respect that you care for others.
I agree.
Right? Greg says, any concerns from a group about representing yourselves to be in the medical business as it relates to product liability? Well, are you stating that you're selling medical masks? Then you've got a concern. If you're just saying, hey, we're selling a mask for protective use, for you protecting other people, and there's all types of guidelines and language, you can see that everywhere. I would be using that. There's all types of stuff out there. And also, somebody made a really great point on some Facebook group the other day, which is, even if somebody said, hey, I got that because I wore the mask, it's going to be so difficult to prove. It's just ridiculous, right? So, as long as you're not positioning yourself as these are medical grade and I'm the medical expert, I think you're probably okay. And I think knowing our industry, that's none of us.
None of them. Nobody's making N95 mask, I don't think, that I've heard of.
Brett says, I used it all mask to rake leaves yesterday. It was great.
So
hey,
Brett,
I saw on Instagram yesterday that your wife was fixing to go into labor. So congratulations. I don't know if it actually happened yet or not. So happy for you.
And yeah, hope everything goes well. His wife was in labor, but he was raking leaves. Good job, Brett.
Saw a great post on from Dave from Rutland. Screen printers 100% responsible to make sure the printed ink is completely cured. That goes without saying. But he's exactly right. What are you doing with this process? These masks are completely new. Nobody but a month ago was printing masks.
Yeah.
Right? We have to learn our craft. So just like you had to learn how to print on 100% poly garments, or how to print on a 3x1 racer tank where the logo's in the middle and the back, right? We have to learn how to print on this stuff, right? And I think, personally, I think action engineering is, if you're doing this seriously, this is what you need to be doing, is get their jig, their pallet for your press. He makes them for all different presses. If you're seriously considering screen printing, that is the thing you need. And I know people don't want to spend the money. I get it, right? It seems like this is a transition phase. Mm-hmm. But I want you to think about how much your press time is worth an hour. Yeah. Is it $300 an hour? Is it $500 an hour? Are you a manual printer and it's $100 an hour? Whatever. Okay. Think about what that time is worth an hour, and then think about how a tool that you can use to increase your efficiency is going to make you more money per hour. It's easy math.
Yeah.
Right. So that, get me on my soapbox here.
No, man, preach it, brother. I think too, on Peter's comment, from Dave Julo from Rutland, what a great guy. It is your responsibility to make sure the ink is cured. You do not want that stuff flaking off. People are breathing through them. You don't want chips or whatever coming off because you've overflashed it or undercured it. Yeah. And if you even think of putting discharge or anything with these things, you really better have it cured correctly. You cannot run it through the dryer twice. Do it right the first time. Yeah. Get it done. Personally, Marshall, too, I see people putting logos right over the face of a mask. I wouldn't do that. I couldn't wear that.
That's weird to me.
What's that?
That seems really weird to me.
Yeah. I think it look cool, but yeah, it's, I'd put it on the side somewhere. Now, if it's a neck gaiter that's sublimated, those are usually done. The ones I use, like when I've gone overseas or to the Caribbean fishing and stuff, they put them up, and there's usually some design on it. And I have, but that's different. So yeah, we have to. And I think this is to Dave Julo's point too, not just on mask. I go nuts when I see ink not cured and people going, well, I just have the dryer where I've always had it.
Right.
Bad Allen in my mind says, well, good, you deserve to fail then.
Yeah. How many shops right now, raise your hand, own a donut probe?
Well, not only, but know where it is and know how to use it.
Yeah, and check it. Well, that was this. I guess that's part B, is actually using it, right?
Yeah.
So part of the, when I've run shops, the Friday, part of our preventative maintenance, I had a logbook, and we had a guy who was in charge of all of our equipment, And every Friday, for every single dryer, they did temperature checks in a tic-tac-toe pattern.
Yep.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And these are zones in the dryer, right? And they're measuring the temperature in each and recording. And we did that for every single driver, and that it was always on Fridays. And that went in there just like, the gas station attendant, when did you clean it, right? This is just part of your job. This is what you do.
Yep.
And what's really interesting is just like your grill, you have hot and cold zones in your dryer.
Absolutely.
So this is how you figure that stuff out, right?
I always tell people, just like you do it in your tic-tac-toe pattern on your shirt. I always have it on that shirt, Marshall, too. I check it in the dryer. I run that donut probe on the left, on the right, and in the middle too, because you will get spots from side to side. It doesn't mean it's a bad dryer. You just got to know what your piece of equipment can do.
Right. And Peter says Action's a competitor to M&R, but a big high five to Eric and his team for work with these mass pallets, right? So Peter, are you coming out with the M&R version of that? Because, I see Action as more aftermarket, right? Kind of a thing. And, I don't know how people see other companies, but.
Peter, post the napkin. You have the designs, and your kitchen table with the design on it. Would love to see it.
Right. So.
Yeah, I think Peter's right. As much as we tease around with Peter, big shout out to Action Engineer for doing that.
Right. So we had some prepared topics to talk about today, and we got 20 minutes left. I don't know how we're going to get through these. So let's just zip through these real quick. Okay. You ready?
Go.
It's like speed. What are you learning? So I don't know about you. I've never worked so hard for free in my life. But I am really researching things right now. So what am I learning? I'm spending a lot of time on the phone talking with people. So I'm learning about what they're doing in their corner of the planet, right? I'm also reading a lot online, and I'm not reading opinion pieces. I'm reading kind of factual stuff. McKinsey and Company, which is a worldwide consulting company. You should read what they're writing about what's going on with business trends. They're global, have a huge outreach. They do a lot of stats and information and stuff about what's around the corner. I'm looking at stuff like that. That's what I'm looking for, and I'm trying to base decisions that I might be making to help my clients with information. That's what I'm doing. Plus, I'm still reading, right? I still read books. So that's what I'm doing. What are you doing, Alan?
I'm doing a lot of the same thing. I do have a book on order that is supposed to be here next week, because we used to get books in a day. Now it's 2 weeks. Everybody talks about the Donald Miller story branding book. I haven't read that. I did order it. I can't wait for it to get here, because I read almost all of Donald Miller's books, from Blue Like Jazz to all of them. And
Right.
That one I hadn't done. So I got it. So I can't wait till that one comes in. When I talk to people in the industry, my thing is, and I'm going to quote what I'm trying to do from Allison, what's my what's my checklist? Do you have your checklist? And
That's topic 3.
Yeah, I'm going ahead of time, but I'm going through my checklist, one, not just professionally, but personally. All this has brought us to not do what do we need to change in our business, which we do, and I'll get to, but what do I need to change personally? I have found out I can live a little bit cheaper than I have been. There are things I can do without, and as bad as we have it, I was on a Zoom call with some friends of mine in the Philippines, and love these people. I'm considered part of their family. And you know what? I'm still glad. I would rather be quarantined here than they're quarantined over there. Right. But I'm going through my checklist. What are the things I need to do? How do I need to save more? How do I need to, when we get back to a new normal, what changes in the life of Alan Howe? And we all need to do that and take personal stock in that.
Right.
As I talk to clients, I am asking them, what are they looking at to change? Because if you're expecting things to open up and we just go back to the way it is, no, it's not going to happen. And I'm excited. There are clients that are, they are integrating I know one just integrated, upgraded their ShopWorks, integrating that with their stores and order my gear.
Right.
She was telling me this is TR McTaggart up in Standish, Michigan. It's owned by a bigger company called Forward, and she told me I could say that online. She's with their salespeople. They're probably going to be doing a lot more of this, like we're doing a video on there. And I think that's stuff we need to do. We've talked about it on email with Soapbox and this. It's making it easier. I'm hoping I want to maybe start doing some of that, and I think all companies should, including the one I work for. I think we should. And my boss is watching, so Alex, that was not a shot at you, but just talking. And then I think we all need to look at your production, and your people. What are you going to do people-wise? Are they cross-trained? Now is the time to do that. Make sure everybody knows how to reclaim a screen, to code a screen, to run a press. So you are cross-training. And unfortunately, we're finding out, what? We all thought we ran pretty lean. Maybe you can run leaner. And that's just going to be the time we're in. And the processes you have, they've worked fine for you and they've been profitable. But you know what? We always need to be looking.
Well, there's what's the quote? Money hides a multitude of sins.
Absolutely. And you know what? It does. The busier and more profitable a company is, they don't see the hemorrhaging coming out until we have a shutdown like this or a recession. Then all of a sudden it's like, what do you mean I'm out of business? I'm much too busy. Well, because you were hemorrhaging money and did not want to look at it. Right. And now is the time to tighten up, to get things in order, because as we hit the bottom and we start coming up, that's where opportunity is, and you want to be ready.
Yeah. So as we emerge from this, right? So we want to be careful about what we're taking on. It's easy to grasp like a drowning man, the life, just whatever jobs we can get. But we want to be, as Mark Coudray always says, busy being profitable, not busy being busy, right? Yeah. So we want to make sure that the jobs that we take, the work that we do, is in alignment with where we need to be and the goals that we have for our companies. And so here's the thing with that is, you can't understand or comprehend any of that if you don't know your numbers, if you don't know what your costs are, if you don't know how your profit is derived, right? A lot of shops, frankly, they've just invented their price lists whole cloth out of averaging their people around them and going, we'll just be 5% under that, right? Instead of actually doing the work of understanding what their costs are, what it takes to get jobs out, how efficient they are, where do they want to be with their revenue, and then building a price matrix that's based on those factors, and then doing the work tying all that up to ensure that that actually happens, right? So that doesn't happen a lot. So now's the time right now. If you kind of need some help, I would be working on these things. So we're talking about checklists, right? Like create a checklist for improvement, right? Yeah. And start thinking about, what do I need to do? And here's what I tell you from human nature, from coaching people for so long, is that people are really great about making a checklist or a plan, but they suck at actually doing the work, right? It's really great to have a checklist. Here's the 10 things I want to do. Great. 3 weeks from now, you've done 2.
Yeah.
Right. That's where we are with that.
Reeves, do you see his post? He recommends a book on that.
Oh, hold on. Let me. Where is that? I see donuts. Oh, here you go. Checklist Manifesto. Yeah, Richard's been recommending this book for years. Right.
So if you're writing with Post-it notes, I'm writing these down and I'm sticking them there where I got it. I wrote that down. So
yeah, his other one that he always talks about is the 2-minute lean.
2-minute lean. Yeah.
So
Richard actually doesn't recommend these. I know to clients he's consulted with, he has given them the book.
Right. Yeah.
What about
I send books to clients. I just sent somebody Traction a week ago. I wonder if they got it because Amazon is not really delivering.
No, as I said, Donald Miller book should be here on the 27th. I ordered it 2 weeks ago.
Yeah. So Peter says, check out this YouTube video from Simon Sinek, where he's addressing his employees. His message is that these are not unprecedented times, but rather a time of opportunity.
Absolutely.
And then there, he gives a link. So I know as soon as this video is over, I'll probably be clicking that link, Peter. So thank you so much for sharing. How much? So that was our 10-minute warning. If you heard my phone go off.
I think this has been great content. Thank you, everybody.
Yeah. By the way, Alan, normally after our calls, I sit and talk with you. I actually have a call immediately after that. That's why my reminder went off. So, yeah, just letting you know. So what else we have to talk about? So we talked about new normal a little bit, right? So we got 10 minutes. Let's finish up with some thank yous. And I think there's a lot of thank yous to go around right now. First of all, I sincerely want to thank you guys for watching. So, you're spending some time with us right now watching live, or you're watching later because hopefully you're just busy as all get out right now and you don't have time to watch a video. So hopefully that's you, right? Yep. Thank you so much. Thank you for commenting and sharing your questions and that kind of stuff. And don't forget, we're doing this every Friday. I don't know about forever, but we're going to be doing it.
Who knows?
Probably. That's our new normal, right, Alan? Right.
And I'm liking it. Right now there's a lot of people watching. Some are just lurking on there. James Ortolani and Nathan Lieber is watching. So thanks, guys.
Yeah. Hey, Nate just interviewed me for his video the other day. So thanks for that.
I'm not hurt at all, Nate. That's okay.
Hey, well, you're next, right?
Yeah, I think so. Maybe.
And also, I love the music videos that James has been pushing out, like his stuff that he's been doing with his band and remembering when and all that kind of stuff. So keep that up. I love looking at that. So
I love it when James gets a guitar out. Anytime he covers a Jackson Browne song, I think he's just great at that.
Yeah.
I think he'd probably do well on some James Taylor stuff too. So James, yeah, you're an encouragement, man. Not to mention he knows a thing or two about screen printing very well.
Yes. So some more thank yous. I want to thank Sloan Coleman with Tiny Little Monster for starting the Here for Good campaign. If you've been under a rock, don't know what that is, you should check it out. And so just type in Tiny Little Monster Here for Good and Google that, and you can see what's going on. So just a basic rundown is that she invented this as a way for the industry to help small businesses thrive. It's essentially a 2-for-1. Sell a T-shirt for $20. $10 goes to a small business that's struggling, a restaurant, a bar, a nonprofit, an organization, something, right? And then $10 of that goes to the screen print shop to stay in business. And there's people doing versions of Here for Good, but I think it's really just a really great model. There's a private Facebook group, and then later I'll find the link and I'll post it in here if you haven't joined it. But and they're sharing how things are working in that group and what was the tip and how did you do it and where did you struggle. And there's a lot of comments. It's a very active group. It seems like every 5 minutes somebody's posting in there. So it's kind of crazy. But I think there's a huge shout out for her, just as somebody who wants to share and make things going. And actually, we're going to be doing a Facebook Live later this afternoon, me and her, and we're going to be talking about some stuff. And that's going to be 4:30 Central Time, which I guess is 5:30 Eastern, right? So look for that. And I'm going to be using my Facebook Live channel and inviting her. So hopefully, Alan, we have better success than when me and you did that.
I'd be using the app you have now on it. But yeah, that's
Oh, maybe I should do that.
I would do that. I wouldn't even go to Facebook Live.
Oh, okay. Well,
I have a bad taste in my mouth over that, but yeah, that's okay.
well, now I got to redo my banners and stuff. I don't know if I have to.
Yeah.
Maybe I can just take them off, right? I can just take those off. So that's that. And then I also want to thank all of the manufacturers who have shifted gears and really are helping shops out with what's going on. So this is our supply chain. And these are people who are really concerned about keeping this industry moving forward. And they understand that small businesses right now need help more than ever with what to do. And so just there's a bunch, and I'm sure I'm going to leave some out, but, Action Engineering comes to mind. Allmade comes to mind. A lot of the shirt manufacturers, Bella Canvas, Jersey Pains, Sanmar's a big one. They're doing a bunch of really great stuff. Who am I leaving out here, Alan?
Vapor Apparel is doing a lot of stuff with Nectar. Doing that. Justin from Oklahoma Shirt Company is always, out there willing to lend a hand. I met him first time a few years ago, and in my mind, Justin is becoming one of just the true badass rock stars of the industry.
Right,
a super nice guy. I think he literally would give you the shirt off his back.
Yeah, and I'm sure I've left somebody off. If you know somebody, throw them in the comments. I'm having a mental block right now.
Mark, I think a thank you, and we've said it before. And help me, last name I can't pronounce, but Allison.
Banholzer?
Yeah.
Yeah.
She for me, has been so inspirational through all this.
Right. She does. What are the 3 things you're doing today? And she does it every day on Facebook. And like I try to comment. I'm one of the things that I'm doing is limiting my negativity, so I try not to be on Facebook as much, which is weird since we're broadcasting on Facebook. But I just can't take the comments that I see from people, and so I really try I'm a hit and run Facebooker, right? I don't know about you, but I'm in there for 10 minutes and then I'm out, right? That's what I'm doing. So if you see me and catch me commenting, that's the 10 minutes I have in between something, and then I'm gone, right? So
Allison has been so transparent this last year and even before this. Her story, and through this relating back to her husband. If you don't know her, look her up. Her husband was a pilot for Air Force One. Lost him to cancer. She has kids, and when this came up, when people said, that's where I get the phrase, your checklist. You have your checklist, right? And I watched her on a post one said, how do we handle this? And she related it to flying an airplane with her husband and going, when this happens, you have your checklist, you run through, and how do we do that? And then, but what if the instruments go out? Fine, you have your checklist when that situation happens. And she'll always go, you have your checklist, right? And I didn't have a checklist on a lot of stuff.
Right.
And she has went online and shared her story through hardships and stuff and become an inspiration. And
yeah, well, that's why we had her tag
so much. So
we had her tag for our Shirt Lab Chicago event that we postponed. So
we were truly international now. Did you see who just came online? Someone just did where they're putting from. Wow.
Auckland, New Zealand. How's it going? Can you do a New Zealand accent? I'm horrible with stuff like that.
Well, no, because people from New Zealand, they are Kiwis. They are not from Australia. Right, Parks? Do not confuse the two.
Did I say Australia?
Well, no, New Zealand, no. But I mean, anytime an American tries to do an accent like that, I'm sure we sound Aussie to them, and we don't need that. Yeah. Right, Peter? We don't want to confuse Aussies with people from New Zealand, correct?
Yeah, we should get Parks and Peter Loss to do a Facebook Live.
But man, we are truly international now. So thank you, Parks, for tuning in. So
and here's a good one. Mike says we're going to raise $1 million with Here for Good.
We love Michael Wilbright. So great job.
Right.
So I talked
I
to
met him at Shirt Lab Portland.
Yep.
So,
I got to meet him at ThreadX and talk more. I talked to Josiah Blackmore in Midland, Michigan. He has I Am Midland campaign going on. And if you saw his Facebook page of we cannot, I'm sorry, I just saw a post from Peter. I am not watching him anymore because he just makes me laugh. He breaks me up all the time. But he has raised, I think it's like $50,000 he said on stuff on this campaign. His profitability is minimal. He told me about it, but he does it with a smile. He is so glad and excited for it. And so Josiah Blackmore, you're a rock star, man. I know the guys at Sandlot Sports have Sagan Awesome going. Joe Stewart from Mission One have Support the Thumb, which is the Thumb area of Michigan he's in. And on all over. I know Here for Good, people are doing it in Kentucky and Missouri and all over. And then I think also your partner in crime, Tom Round. I listened to him, a thing he said, and he was just inspirational going, we can't stand around. If you're waiting on the government, don't. They are not going to save your business. And Tom can just put it right out there and keep going. So, yeah, we have a lot of people.
Yeah. So, speaking of Tom, let's shift. We need to wrap up. We're at the top of the hour. So, Shirt Lab Summit, right? So if you haven't heard about this, mainly because we haven't really started marketing it yet. So we're putting this together. It's going to be a live online, not live, but an online event, June 1 to June 3. And we're busy putting this together right now. We're going to have a website like go live here real soon. We're just still trying to get everything going with it. It's a massive undertaking that Tom and I have put together. We can't do our live events right now. So we wanted to be able to do something for the decorated apparel community. And so what we've done is we've got over 30 just superstars to share some time with us about what makes their rocket sauce work. And we're dividing our time between me and Tom, and we're interviewing folks about what they do, tactical. These are the things that you need to work on, or you need to implement, or you need to think about, or whatever. And it's going to be June 1st to June 3. Go to shirtlabsummit.com and register. And as soon as we get everything built, we're going to be sending you some info. And what this is going to be is an online 3-day event. June 1st is the first day. It's all going to be about sales. June 2nd is going to be about marketing. June 3rd is all going to be about operations. So how are you doing those 3 things in your shop? And we've got about 10 to about 12 people a day to talk about some things. And it's just going to be fantastic. And each day it's free. You can binge watch just like Netflix, right? And you can watch this stuff with these different interviews that we're having, and it's going to be totally, really, really fun. And I think you'll get a lot out of it. We have an upgrade that you can get where you can get lifetime access to the videos, plus we're having everything transcribed. Plus, we're doing notes. So you don't even have to take notes. We've got notes coming to you, plus audio files that you can download. So if you want to re-listen to what my buddy here, Alan, has to say while you're in the gym or running, you can have me and Alan in your head while you're running, right?
Run away.
You run away, right? So you can download this stuff for use later. And but everything is coming online soon. We're busy trying to build this. And that's something that me and Tom have been working on. Trying to get 30 people lined up to record all this stuff is the biggest cat herding adventure I think I've ever had. So, but it's fun, right? So anyway, go to shirtlabsummit.com and register and get signed up. We want everybody to do it. And I think you'll learn a lot from it. And so what was your experience like with that, Alan? Just to say something.
You know, as always, Marshall, and I tell you this, I know you and I are friends and stuff, and I think you said I was the first video scheduled. I, did that first, and I've done them before, but personally, as everything, I'm always honored. Anytime I'm asked to do anything, I'm like, why? But I'm honored. So
why? Because you're a badass, dude. That's the reason why.
And the smoke screen worked. Yeah. So, I'm always honored. I want to start with that, but I think this is great. Marshall, I think it's going to be first classly done. I love the questions we came up with, and I cannot wait to see it. I can't wait to listen, because for me, I get to hear all these people that you have. I know who's on the list. I know you have Brian Walker. I cannot wait to hear his.
Right.
Brian's an interesting guy for me. To me, anytime I listen to a podcast or a video or a blog, or I get to have lunch with somebody, in my career, it never ceases to me. I love just talking. I love having lunch with Richard Greaves, because we live in Detroit. We haven't in a while because we can't. I love anytime, Marshall, you and I get together, because to me, it's still continuing education,
right,
no matter who it is. And I am beyond excited to be a part of it, but to listen to it too.
Yeah. All right, cool. So I have a phone call that I'm 5 minutes late for right now. So we need to wrap it up. So my silliness for agreeing to that call. So hopefully they're not too mad at me.
They can blame me.
I will blame it on you. So I just want to close real quick. Mike says once he gets 1 million, he's going to hit 2 million. And
you
kind of love positivity and optimism, don't you?
He's awesome. And you know what? Mike is one of those guys too. He's doing this, but I know Mike has also went out and just brought groceries and supplies to people too. So
yeah, he's a good dude. So yeah. All right, so that's going to do it for us. If you need to get a hold of us, here's my email. It's really difficult to remember. Marshall at marshallatkinson.com. And here's Alan's. I am Alan Howe.
I am Alan Howe. In case you remember, at gmail.com.
Right. So, hey, thank you so much for watching. We love you guys. Appreciate you so much. And feel free to leave comments and suggestions. If you're watching this later, you didn't tune in live, that doesn't mean you can't comment or answer somebody's questions or anything, right? So please leave those comments in there. Thank you so much, and we'll see you guys next week.
Bye-bye. Have a great week.
All right.